So, Universal Time is getting another rework, and to be honest, at this point, it's concerning to me. Like, the game has gotten multiple reworks at this point. There was the new universe, the constant map change era, and now we're getting a PvP rework. So I was watching a video about one of the stands for the PvP rework in AUT, and one of the comments said something like, it's pretty sad to see how much effort the devs put in the game, only for the game to die off a week or two later. Which made me think, why does a Universal Time seem to pop off on updates and then struggle so much to retain those players? I mean, Your Bizarre Adventure only updates like once a year at this point, and that crap still consistently has 15 to 25,000 players. Like Eclipse and I said, it's basically the 8th wonder of the world at this point. Or maybe I'm wrong, maybe a Universal Time actually retains a lot of its players and it's not as bad as I thought. Now, disclaimer, this video is not intended to shame or speak negatively about Universal Time or anyone associated with the creation of the game, but to rather provide an objective analysis why the game struggles to keep up in player count after a week or so of an update, and also discuss possible impacts of the PvP rework on the game's retention and player base. Okay, well, with that out of the way, there's probably at least one or two of you watching right now that don't exactly know what a Universal Time is, so let me explain really quick. A Universal Time is a Roblox JoJo Roblox anime game that takes the fundamental game plan of most Roblox JoJo games, where you poke yourself with an arrow or do quests to obtain certain powers to mess around with, or you can PvP and hang out. Or if you really want to, you can grind for skins and cosmetics, if you're one of those people. So in AUT, the old universe, or the original version of the game, was basically a modded version of a game that I know will bring quite a lot of nostalgia to some of you, A Bizarre Day, just with a few abilities or powers from things not related to JoJo. The new universe later came out a year or two later to change the core fundamentals of the PvP of the game and rework a lot of the stands. It's also when I met my beautiful, awesome, handsome editor Cumin, and it was their first video edited, and they're editing this video right now. Say hi! So they changed the map a couple times after the new universe, and now we're here, with the PvP rework coming out relatively soon. At least I would hope so, unless they need some more time, which, take your time. My concerns over the PvP rework coming to AUT, and that YouTube comment that said it's a shame that the devs seem to put so much effort into the game only for it to die a week or two later. See, the thing with every update AUT seems to release, the player count spikes like crazy, and then a week or two later or a month later, it falls off quite a lot. Obviously, this happens with any game, no matter what it is. Hype falls off. I'm going to compare Your Bizarre Adventure and a Universal Time for now, since they're probably the biggest competitors with each other in this game genre. And we're going to compare how much of their player base they've been able to keep since their last update. And so we're going to use this website called Rollimons and compare the two game statistics on a... Okay, Shelf is pulling out the mathematical statistics of player counts and retention on a graph to compare two children's Lego games. What am I doing with my life? Anyways, if we go to daily concurrent players of all time for both games, we can see that on the last Universal Time update, the summer update, it had around 28,000 concurrent players, and for Your Bizarre Adventure, their most recent update, the Halloween update, it had around 30,000 concurrent players. Nice. Now, these player counts are not the highest amount of players they had on that day. It is a specific player count each game had at that time when the data was pulled. But I took the average of the past week of player count for both games and found that AUT lost around 89% of its player base since its last update, or amount of players, and YBA lost around 70%. That might not sound like a lot, but 1% for each game is equal to around 260 to 400 games for each game respectively. But we also have to keep in mind and account that YBA has like double the amount of visits of AUT. AUT has like 500 million visits and YBA has 1 billion. So obviously YBA is going to have a higher amount of dedicated players that will play the game every day. This does not account for the total difference in percentage of maintaining player base. It just might have a factor as to why YBA has a higher percentage of keeping players after their most recent update a month or two later. Basically, this past 50 seconds or so of calculating averages and percents was completely useless. Okay, well, maybe one game has better gameplay than other. Maybe YBA just has some crazy gameplay and it's just so much more fun. So people play the game for longer than the other? Nope, that's also incorrect. The average playtime or retention rate for each game for the past 2 months for both games have actually been pretty similar. And if we really want to get specific, AUT has actually had a longer average playtime by about 2 to 4 minutes. I also got a DM from one of you about Maybe it's internet issues. One game is better optimized than the other. It could be. But, okay, a developer from AUT heard my announcement in my Discord server about what video I was going to make and sent me... Okay! Wow. Oof, that's a lot. Basically, they explained that every game needs good Wi-Fi and server region, and that it's usually Roblox's fault if you lag a ton. This is why some games seem to lag so much in public servers, but when you go into a private server or VIP server, if you're an old-time Roblox player, the game seems flawless in terms of connection. So, what is it? What's the problem? Why are they struggling to keep player base? And this is where you all come in. Yes! Yes! I asked my Discord server why they thought AUT was having difficulty retaining players. My Discord server. And well, I appreciate those of you who sent me actual straight up essays, and even those that sent a few that are, you know. But well, some of you said that the grind for a universal time is too easy, and so after getting the new standard and update, there's nothing to do after a short time. But there are also players that complain when there's too much grinding. Some of you said that there's nothing to do after getting abilities besides PvP and grinding skins, but this is the exact same thing in YBA with the exception of Steel Ball Run. After an update comes out, you get the stand, and you just grind for skins or cosmetics. Unless the update itself is about skins, which is what the Halloween update was about. Maybe that has something to do with it, but who knows. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that this is a way more complicated question than you might think. It could have something to do with visual appeal. Maybe YBA is just better at sticking to a certain style that makes people want to stay with it. Once again, let me go back to a bizarre day. ABD's innate appeal that made it more popular than YBA for a short time was not crazy graphic, intricate PvP, or a sob story. Its appeal was its simplistic style, and it really executed well that I can chill here and hang out, no specific goal type of game, that naturally garnered a lot of attention with, of course, a little bit of luck. The vast majority of the complaints I got, though, for a universal time was about the PvP, which is perfect, since there's going to be a rework. It seems like people are able to publicly test the universal times PvP and provide feedback too. So that's great. One thing to the developers though, do not solely listen to all fan suggestions or even content creator suggestions like mine. You can consider them, but at the end of the day, you all are the ones that have been making games for a long time and should have a general idea as to what works and what doesn't. This is your game. This is not a YouTuber's game. This goes for any game out there, by the way. And to the fans, a universal time and Your Bizarre Adventure are two completely different games. Please don't try to force them to have the exact same PvP, because they aren't supposed to have the same PvP. They're different games. Now that doesn't mean don't give suggestions though, because suggestions help a lot. I think at the end of it all, I want to say a universal time and its developers, this PvP rework has a lot of potential. It can do a lot for the game. It really can. Just need a little luck and hope that the game will have something that wants players to come back, because right now my mindset is that a universal time doesn't really have something that makes it outshine other big Roblox JoJo games like Your Bizarre Adventure. Just doesn't really have that aspect. Whenever I see Roblox JoJo games and a universal time, I just think, wow, these games are pretty similar, and nothing about a universal time makes it really stand out in terms of a gameplay perspective that makes me think, oh yeah, this game is so much better than the others. Now, what could you add that makes it so much better than the others? I don't know. Who knows? It's a really difficult thing to answer, and it will just have to be figured out through trial and error. Maybe some of you have suggestions or answers in the comments. In the end, maybe this video will age terribly after the PvP rework. Maybe it'll age well. I can't predict the future. No one can. But what I can say is that this PvP rework will affect the game extremely negatively or positively, since PvP is some of the core gameplay, which is why I'm concerned for the future.